Hi and welcome back to Kingsclear. This is the November update. Now this month we have done not a great deal, but what we have done is very noticeable. So as you can see there, the troughing run, which I'll explain obviously in more detail within the review, is there or thereabouts completed, and that goes all the way around and joins up to where we were at the last review. So quite a bit of work, but it's really noticeable compared to sometimes where you do quite a lot of the work and it's not. And then the other main thing is obviously that wooded area, something that I've been trying to do for quite a long time, to be honest with you, but it's now done. It's using a mixture of the excellent Primo trees, which I'll go into a little bit in detail in a minute, and also some excellent trees that my partner helped, well, basically made. I can't really take any credit for it at all, to be honest with you, but they're excellent. So yeah, not many flowers at the moment. We will obviously come back and put some flowers in there, because I know quite a few of you like the old flowers and stuff like that. But yeah, really pleased. So hope you enjoy the review, and I'll speak to you in a bit. Although the Primo trees are absolutely excellent, I did buy some of these seafoam branch type tree making items a while ago, and I didn't really want to let those go to waste. So I think my first attempt is the one that's basically in front, which isn't that good, to be honest with you. But as I say, this one and this one up in the back, which I've also sprayed, these were done by my partner, who has got a much keener eye, and I think learning from the experiences of this one, to be honest with you. But as I said to you before, what we're going to do is we're going to put these ones to the rear of those Primo trees in the corner there. So I think this one can be tucked away nicely in the background. But the other thing about this seafoam is that you get small sections. For example, there's just that one bit there. In effect, it's pretty much a tree on its own, with a little bit of spraying and some obviously use of different flock and leaf material. And also like this bit here, that's going to be the branch which is broken off and that in effect has fallen into that area there. If I just zoom in up where those foxes are. So yeah, so it's good stuff, and it does take a little while to do. And as I say, I'm now going to obviously paint these up, get a browny type of woody effect with some greys, etc. And then obviously just the process of putting all the various flock and leaf material on, and then we're good to go. With homemade trees now sprayed, and I think as you can see they really do look really good, and so my partner's done another excellent job. So yeah, so as I say, just gonna spray those up. But while we're on it, I don't know if you've noticed these I don't know, the polystyrene type block things. Get them in hobbycraft, people use them for flower arranging and stuff like that. Really good for just basically standing trees and other items up in. So definitely would invest in something like that. I don't think they're that expensive, a couple of quid, but yeah, really work well. So as I say, they're all sprayed up now. Used a mixture of various browns, greys, etc. I haven't gone all the way down to the bottom of the trunks yet, purely because the height of these trees, once they go into that area, I might need to reduce down those trunks. So there was no point spending too much time painting all that area up if I was going to be cutting those down a little bit. As soon as I've established the actual height of those, then I'll obviously we'll obviously touch those up with a bit of paint just to make them look good. And now for the foliage and the leaves. So for this I'm going to use this WWS static grass layering spray can. However, there are lots of other products up there. To be honest with you, if your wife has got some of that extra hold hairspray, I've been told that's very good, but obviously make sure that it's a real full can and she doesn't notice you've nicked it. But Yeah, I'm going to use that. I'm not sure if that's going to do all of the trees. And the other thing is definitely try and do this in a very well ventilated area. I'm up in the loft, as you know, here, and I was going to do this outside, but it's absolutely chucking it down. So I'm going to have a go at this tree, see how it goes, using basically Gauge Master leaves. I've got some light leaves there and some dark leaf there, and I've got some basically turf just to add to that. Just going to see how it goes. If it comes out quite well and it's not too stinky and polluted in the atmosphere up here, then I might do a couple more. But yeah, let's see how it gets on and see what the result looks like. Okay, so that's the first of the trees done. It's not too bad. Coverage looks like it's got inside there, but not too much, so you can still see through into the trunk area as well. So that's pretty cool. And that fallen branch, just with some dark leaves on there, again looking really quite good. So I can just position those, or position the branch, I should say, anyway. And then obviously this one will just have to wait until I've done the other 3 trees, and then we'll get it in. But generally not too bad. I think the colouring is a bit brighter on the screen than it is actually in the box. Another thing I forgot to mention obviously is the box, and obviously towels and stuff like that. Firstly, the leaf material is quite expensive, so you just don't want to lose too much of it. And secondly, when you're spraying any type of adhesives around, the last thing you want to do is be spraying all over the track. Hence why generally people would be sensible and spray outside in the open air. Anyway, looking good. With all the foliage now placed on all of the trees, and it is a bit deceptive, some of these trees are still on those foam pads, so don't worry, they're not that big. It's just a case of obviously position them now in this area. I've also put some of the undergrowth on the edge around the fences. I might put some more undergrowth further in, but I just want to start now positioning those trees to get the most effective look. As I mentioned on last month's episode, I decided to get some of these Primo trees. Now, a lot of people are aware of Primo, but I thought before I actually establish these in the ground, I'll give you a bit more of a detailed review of them. Now, hopefully you're picking this up and the focus is okay, but when you just have a look at the quality of that trunk on its own and then looking up into the canopy, it really is something really quite impressive. The actual construction of these trees is very similar to what I've done before with my own trees, but basically it appears that there's a main steel strut which gives that stability, with a lot of the in effect the wire on the outside. And again, that's really solid, very loads and loads of strength, but also I think the quality side of when you look at that trunk really does set it off from others. So in effect, this is the beech tree, and if we have a look at the oak tree, which is coming in now, so again, let's get the zoom there, you can see that that trunk really does look incredibly good. And again, when you look up into the canopy, it does actually, well, it just looks like a tree, to be perfectly honest with you. Really impressed with these. And in fact, it's a bit of a shame in the fact that you're, like everything on model railways, when you actually look at the detail, when it's close up like this, it's great, but when you actually then stick it out onto the track, sometimes you lose that, or you don't actually see the detail as well it is. But yeah, I'm really pleased with these Primo trees, and I would definitely advise anybody, if you want some seriously good looking trees, just to obviously have a look on the website. I think I've put the link, or whatever it is, the address to that website on already, but if I haven't, I'll do it now. But yeah, really impressed. With the woodland now in place and fixed, we're pretty much there. So it's come out better than I thought, to be perfectly honest with you. I think the idea that I had, I wasn't too sure how well it worked, but using a mixture of the excellent Primo trees and some of the excellent trees that my partner made as well really has given me that scene that I was looking for. And I think now it starts to bring into context the other bits and pieces, i.e. you've got the sheep down here with the ram protecting his flock from those two foxes that you can see there coming through, and then there's that branch that's broken the fence there as well. And as I say, if you actually look into the actual wooded area itself, you can see it's nice and dark, which is what it should be, but you still see these excellent trunks that obviously are the Primo trees. So yeah, really pleased, and as I say, it's exactly what I was looking for. With the majority of last month's update dedicated to the rodding, there was a brief discussion around the troughing. I thought I'd give the troughing a little bit more time on this update. So some of this I did show last month with the troughing, as you can see there, just winding its way along the down cess behind the S&T train with the wires. And one of the things I did is I actually got some of the troughing and cut them into, in effect, the short lengths that they come in, and put them in the wagon to depict, obviously, the train coming along and dropping those troughing units out. And I'll show you more later what I mean by dropping out on the side. But that, in effect, now runs all the way around, as you can see there, all the way through up to there. And then, in effect, you can see where I've laid out all the next lengths that I'm going to put into the upsess there. So there's quite a wide variety of manufacturers out there that produce troughing. I went for the scale model scenery one, as you can see in front of you. Very simple to build. Basically, you get a sheet. It's like a very thin card, basically. It's all laser cut, so you can just pop them out. Apply a little bit of glue to form the U channel, and then it's entirely up to you. You can either, in effect, put the lid straight on, or in effect, you can, as you see, they've got this, these are looking like cables, so you can just stick that into those open troughs, and I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, very simple, and you also get the wide trough as well for the junctions. And as I say, sorry about the shadow, there's just the lights behind me, to give you something similar to this. Now, as I say, various different manufacturers, I should say, make it. So the run at the back is, in effect, the scale model scenery run that I've done and painted, and I'll show you the concrete effect I use in a minute. And at the front, I believe this is West Hill Wagon Works. So straight away, there is a slight difference there. The West Hill Wagon Works is slightly finer, but from a price point, for the quantity of troughing to which I've got to do at Kingsclear, I would have needed a small fortune, most probably, to do all the West Hill Wagon Works type of troughing, whereas obviously the scale model scenery, yes, still quite a lot to be done and quite expensive. Gives me the volume and I think the quality that I'm after. As I mentioned, this is the scale model scenery troughing, and I've taken some of the troughing lids off to expose, in effect, that cabling, basically the paper representation of the cabling below. And from a distance, you really would be very hard pushed to see that is actually paper. It's a very good representation. Now, what you've got here, in effect, is basically the one at the front is the run to which I have weathered. The one at the back, in effect, has just been sprayed a little while ago. And I'm not sure if you're really picking that out. I don't think the camera's that good, but it's got that gritty look to it. So like a very concretey type of look. And I was looking at various different methods to obtain that look. And with basic paint, it just wasn't happening. So looking through, I think it was Amazon, I can't remember. Came across this, which is a concrete effect, basically spray. Used it and really impressed, actually, to be honest with you. And funny enough, I was in Dunelm literally 2 or 3 days after I got this, and happened across a can of a similar type of product. So yeah, it's out there, but it gives you a nice gritty type of texture, to which then you can apply various weathering, obviously using the trusty Citadel products, which I use for quite a lot of my models. That gives it a bit of a worn look. But as I said before, this troughing hasn't been in the ground for a great deal of time, so I didn't want to over weather it, just give it a light bit of weathering. And so just to represent, it's been in there for maybe a couple of months or something like that, so it's just a little bit tarnished. But what I'm also going to do, as I mentioned earlier, so you've got the new troughing units in that wagon. I'm going to cut up some of these, which in effect are the roots without the lids on, into their independent size trough units, so which are basically signify the underneath of where those lids are. And what I'm going to do is just basically put it on the shoulder of the up track, just up by basically by the bridge and the tunnel, coming all the way down to those location cabinets. So that in effect signifies where the train's gone through, and the guys have literally just chucked out the troughing units. And then I've got a gang basically in the yard. I don't know if you can just see them by the wagons there, and they're all raring to go to start digging those troughing units into the cess. So that's the intention. Hopefully it will come out quite well. But while I'm here, I'll just show you the difference between, in effect, that concrete paint with no weathering and that concrete paint with just a little bit of weathering applied to it. It's not heavy. And then what I've then done is I've built up the ground around it, because you will find troughing out on the track in various different states. Some is completely buried, sometimes it's sitting on the top. It really does depend where you are. But generally, you've got to remember, you've got to get access to the lids to pop those lids off. So if you can keep your ballast or whatever you're going to use to represent your cess walkway just below the lid level, that would be about right. Sometimes you'll find wooden battens either side, where they've actually done some proper walkways. But again, the most important thing is being able to prise those lids off. One of the aspects of the troughing installation and the troughing runs that I wanted to achieve here at Kingsclear was the actual guys installing the troughs themselves. It's something you don't normally see on model railway layouts. Generally you'll see no troughing or long lengths of troughing, but just to give a little bit of a different view of it. The troughing itself obviously would have come by train in open wagons. These troughing units would have literally been thrown out into the cess, and then the gang, as you can see here, would have obviously installed that into the cess, and then once it was obviously all installed, then the cable would have been run. So I have looked at quite a few photographs of this process, and I think what I've got here is there or thereabouts, so I'm quite pleased with it. And yeah, I think it just adds that different dimension to a model railway layout. So as you can see, you've got the long run all the way down, which is now in effect completed with cables in. But there's just a slightly different dynamic with obviously the troughing being placed out. So if I just zoom in a little bit there, I think you can see that's quite an interesting scenario, or diorama I should say. Although there's still quite a lot to do in this area in regards to scenery. What I've done now, as you can see from the turning chamber of the UTX that goes across, I've now brought a branch of that troughing up to this base, and this base in effect will hold the relay room, or the REB for example, which is another name for it. Basically the mechanical signalling within the box has been removed, but there wasn't quite enough room underneath to put all of the different relays, etc. So this relay room has been put in. Now, in regards of eras, I'm a little bit unsure if this is a bit too modern, but to be honest with you, I'm quite happy to just leave it as it is at the moment. But it just brings that whole area now into some type of context, and really quite pleased with it. So after a couple of weeks now putting this troughing in, I think we're pretty much close to there now to completing it. I've done a little bit more weathering, still needs a little bit more weathering here or there, but now I've got obviously all of the lid units on or in the area where the lids have been removed. As I say, I've discussed before, obviously the cable inside the trough. So in effect, this troughing route is complete with the cables in, going all the way around to the south junction, and obviously that controlling signal down there with a couple of location cabinets. And as you can see in the distance, that's where the gangs are continuing that troughing all the way down to the tunnel to obviously link up to Basingstoke, etc. So yeah, so I'm really quite pleased with it. As I say, it is, as I say, just being installed, so it's not going to be overly dirty. And I think using of that concrete paint with some very light weathering, it's there or thereabouts. So yeah, really pleased. So anyway, as I say, lots of different manufacturers of these troughing units. I found these to be the most cost effective method, using scale model sceneries. But as I say, there's lots of different ones out there, Bachmann, West Hill Wagon Works, for example. But for the actual, what should we say, so the functionality, the cost, and the sheer amount of troughing I've put down, this has actually worked out really, really well. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and just another tick in the box in all of the bits and pieces that we got to do here at Kings Clear Model Railway. Following on from last month's update, where I pretty much concentrated on a lot of rodding, the Model U delivery arrived, which contained in effect the rollers, as you can see here, or the rodding stools as they are known. So these ones here are the two rods, and those are the 4 rod stools. Just going to paint those up now, and then basically affix those to the stools, as I said. Some of those will go actually out in the track, similar to the photographs which I showed last month, and some will literally just be put onto the stools as they are there and put on the line side to basically show that they've been removed from the track side and in effect will be scrapped. So here we have the Model U mechanical rodding stools and the actual bases. Majority of those being the 4 rod stools, although you have got a single 2 rod one, which is the only one that's actually been weathered as well in the foreground. So they've come up quite well. As I say, they do look better actually in the track. So that area there is going to be like a dumping area of bits and pieces I'll post to commissioning for recovery and removal. And as for the ones in the track, and sorry if it's a bit shaky, as you can see, they do actually look really good. Not too sure how well they're focusing, but we've got a couple there. And we've got a run all along that back side, as you can see there. And then you've got the long run all the way down to the junction down there. So yeah, so it's looking pretty much what I was trying to achieve, especially when I went down to Medstead and saw that. So generally pretty pleased with how it's worked out. And I think, to be honest with you, apart from weathering those now and just obviously adding to that pile there, we're pretty much done. So means I can move on to this yard now. Something I've been putting off for quite a while. But yeah, as I say, it's been a bit of a challenge, been enjoyable, but we're getting there. with the last section of troughing now installed, as you can see just up by the breakdown train, we're pretty much there, and that basically concludes today's update, or this month's update. For those that are going to be going up to the National Festival Railway Modelling at the NEC this weekend, I'll be up there exhibiting Warton Road, so I'm going to do some video clips of Warton Road, and obviously if you want to come and say hi, that'll be great. As I pan round now, you'll notice that I've put some additional bits of wood to expand the area of where the fields are going to be, and that in effect leads on to the next big section here at Kingsclere Model Railway. So really happy with those trees. We do need to just put a bit of the wires on the telegraph poles, so once I've done that, in effect that back scene is pretty much there then, and I can then start moving on to the foreground, i.e. the area here, which is going to be a mosaic of various different fields, both arable and livestock. So that's the next big section that we're going to do. We've obviously still got the yard to be completed, but again, with all of that rodding, troughing pretty much done now, there's still a bit of rodding still needs to be done, and some residual bits and pieces here and there, and a bit of weathering, but yeah, it's really come together. Really pleased, and as I say, really hope that you've enjoyed this update. As I say, if you've got any comments or questions, just drop them in, I'll get back to you. Click likes would be great, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do. I'll keep you up to date with all the developments here at Kingsclere Model Railway. Apart from that, I'll see you next month, and as I say, if you're up at the NEC this weekend, come and say hello.